Well, he is one of the premier trends forecasters out there, and he's Gerald Celente. He's with us for the rest of the hour. We're going to open the phones up as well for everybody that are patiently holding. Whatever the issue is, Gerald Celente can comment on it. We'll also be posting his website up on screen. I need to mail him a copy of the DVD because he's a big part of it. Fall of the Republic is now out. It dropped yesterday. If you want your copy, it's available at Infowars.com. Gerald Celente, it is great to have you here. I want to talk about the dollar. I want to get into what's happening with gold. I want to get into what's happening with the police and the government trying, like you said years ago, to raise all these taxes in the middle of a depression. The media lying, saying we're in a jobless recovery. I remember you a year ago on this show saying they would call it a jobless recovery. And I guess they stole your term because that's what they're saying. We're going to discuss it all today. But what's most important on Gerald Celente's plate? What do you want to talk about out of the gates?
Well, first I'd like to talk about your new DVD and the impact that you're making all over the world as being a leader in the Second American Revolution, because the Second American Revolution has begun. And it began with the Tea Parties and the tax protests on April 15th. It accelerated with the rallies and protests on the 4th of July, with people screaming for taxation without representation, or against it, I should say. And also it hit another new high with all of these town hall meetings when people came out. It was more about, again, big government than the health care program. And then we saw the rally on against big government on September 12th in Washington, when nearly 1 million people, according to whose reports you believe, and we don't know what to believe, but there were a lot of people. And so really the Second American Revolution has begun, and you're a prominent voice in it. And I'm thrilled to also be a part of it, because the direction we're going in now is leading the country down a path, and that people are calling it socialism, and we're making it clear that this isn't socialism. The merger of state and corporate powers is clearly, as Mussolini said, fascism. And fascism has come to America. This whole myth of the too big to fails, who made this story up? And the banks gaining more and more control, buying out all the weaker financial institutions, bringing their strength together as oligopolies to take over this nation. And we're just seeing more and more of it. But the whole world also is seeing what's going on, as you're talking about, with the decline of the dollar. And people should be very aware of this, because we're very concerned that they're going to call a bank holiday as things get worse. You see the dollar now is at $1.50 against the euro. You know, they're talking about, Alex, how the Dow at 10,000, how people are, oh, how wonderful it is, Dow 10,000. Well, when the Dow first hit 10,000 10 years ago, you know, the unemployment rate, the official unemployment rate was about 4.2%. Now the official unemployment rate is what, 9.8%. And you saw the numbers came out today again, about 30,000 people on unemployment. And then the barrel of oil back then 10 years ago was selling for under $16 a barrel. What's it selling for now? $80. They're devaluing the dollar. They're going to make us all poorer.
Absolutely. I want to talk about where you see the revolution going, because I remember several years ago you predicted we were going to have the crash. They were going to raise taxes in the midst of it. People would start demonstrating. The government will ignore that, and then it will then build to a head. We're going to talk about a lot of issues with Gerald Celente when we come right back. Stay with us.
Are you tired of losing your hard-earned savings in retirement? Does the continued loss of purchasing power through the hidden tax of inflation brought on by trillions of dollars in government bailouts bother you? Then please let me, Dwayne Daly with Midas Resources, help you to protect what you have left. Call me at 800-686-2237 extension 115, and I will explain to you how to retain your wealth and purchasing power now and in the future with gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a form of currency for 6,000 years compared to our present fiat currency, which has only been in existence for 38 years and failing fast. Call me, Dwayne Daly, at 800-686-2237, extension 115, to start your protection of wealth today. I will custom fit the protection package to your personal needs. No amount is too small, so start today. Call Dwayne Daly with Midas Resources at 800-686-2237, extension 115, for your gold and silver protection portfolio.
Gerald Celente, top trends forecaster in the country, has made hundreds of spot-on predictions. More than 2 years ago, charted exactly what was going to happen with the economy, the bank implosions, the consolidation of power, the looting, the unfolding police state, and the building revolution. The establishment knows they've got a revolution on their hands. That's why they're saying they're going to deploy 379,000 Homeland Security troops from the Army and Marine Corps and Air Force in the United States in the next 2 years. They're suddenly popping up everywhere, conditioning the public. They're openly announcing Bank of the World, global carbon taxes. States and cities and counties and the feds are passing all these new taxes. Obama has been breaking every promise. All of this is coming to a head. You predicted the Tea Parties. You called them taxpayer brushfire rebellions were some of the terms you used. You said 2 years ago when I was reading when we first started getting you on that those would be ignored and that by 2012 everything would melt down. Expand now. We're now 2 years later. Your forecast, unfortunately, is about 99% accurate, even better than my 95% accuracy, and I really do chart my accuracy. Let us into your brain, Gerald Celente. What's happening next?
Here's what we're concerned about next. As you know, we just published the Autumn Trends Journal, and now we're working on the top trends for 2010. What we're most concerned about, Alex, is what we're calling Terror 2010. We're forecasting that there is a very high probability of a major terror strike against the United States. And among the reasons why it's going to happen is what's going on right now in Pakistan. And most people, of course, aren't aware of the United States policy of increasing that war to a much greater extent now than it's ever been on the Afghan-Pakistan border.
Gerald, let me interrupt. You also predicted 9/11, so people better pay attention to what you're saying.
Actually, they could Google my name, Celente, USA Today, December 14th, 2000, and the headline read, 2001 won't be our year, Trendseer says. We said that Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad in 2001. And right now what's going on now is that Pakistan has launched a major offensive in South Waziristan. A couple of months ago, they were in the Swat Valley. And every time that the Pakistani army, and Pakistan has to be one of the most corrupt nations on earth, and they're being funded, of course, by the United States. The president, Zardari, he was called Mr. 10%. He was the husband of Bhutto, who was assassinated. They call him Mr. 10% because he took 10% of all the action that went on in the government. He's now the president. And what's going on is that the anti-Americanism sweeping through Pakistan, I mentioned the Swat Valley, it was the biggest amount of people displaced since Rwanda. Just a month ago, with 3 million refugees. And now the same thing is happening once again in South Waziristan. So the anti-Americanism sweeping through the Middle East is at an all-time high. And now it's also, of course, going on in Iran. Again, current events form future trends. We just saw last Sunday that several Iranian and National Guard, the Republican Guard, were killed in a suicide attempt that Iran is blaming on the United States and Israel. So we're concerned that there's going to be a terror strike against the United States, false flag or real. We're saying something is going to happen very major in this field in 2010. So now we take it again as trend forecasters. What does that mean? Good excuses to close the bank. We're getting emails from all over the world, Alex, and from top people that are seeing very clearly that the United States strategy is to devalue the dollar so that they pay back this massive loan with cheap money. It's like you loaning me $100, and then all of a sudden that $100 only being worth 10 cents, and I pay you back 10 cents. When you loaned it to me, it was worth $100.
And Gerald, I want to stop you again, and that's key what you just mentioned. On the record, the Bank of England, the Private Federal Reserve, they're both partners, as you know, but for listeners that may not, they are the ones openly killing the dollar, bad-mouthing it, making all the decisions to kill it.